In this class we're going to talk about Kolb's learning styles. Now this is actually quite important as a class because in terms of organizations and companies and so on, businesses, most learning is in terms of experience, and Kolb's learning cycle is essential to understand the nature of experiential learning. So it's a topic that crops up in business and management education all the time. So it's important to get some understanding of what's meant by Kolb's learning cycle. In the present case, we're going to emphasize Kolb's learning styles, and we're going to look at the styles that he indicated. You'll remember from previous videos that we talked about learning styles including visual, looking at getting knowledge from sight and reading books and making observations, from auditory, from going to class and listening and making notes, and kinesthetics, which was learning by doing. Now the emphasis here is on learning by doing, so Kolb emphasizes that one, and that's what I want to take through this particular talk. So let's start. Individuals adapt to different methods of taking in and processing information. So we are different and we have different approaches. It also depends, right at the outset, it's important to say this, it also depends on the nature of the inquiry. Not everything is experiential. Some knowledge is academic. Some knowledge is very abstract. For example, in mathematics, we don't experience mathematics directly. We conceptualize, we think about it. So this type of learning is most appropriate to practical situations and business situations in particular. And as individuals, we learn differently about taking in and processing information. So it's how we identify experiences and what we take in from them that's important. An individual's learning ability can be enhanced or restricted based on their learning environment. Clearly, if an individual environment is very restrictive and very boring, then there's very few experiences and the individual will learn very little. Whereas if the environment is very rich in experiences, the individual will learn a lot. And this overlaps with motivation theory. Companies may engage, for example, in job rotation to try and widen workers' experiences and to alleviate boredom, and therefore engage the worker more effectively and get more loyalty from the worker, better attendance at work, better participation and greater identification with the objectives of the business. So the learning environment, or the environment in general, is very important as a means of collecting experiences. According to this approach, learning styles are not based on what the individual learns, but on how they prefer to learn. And individuals differ. Some individuals are academic and they prefer to learn from books and go to the library and make notes and read articles online and so on. Some people prefer to use their hands and see what happens and make observations and experience the situation. And really it's this type of learner that we're focusing in on here. It is a very important style of learning because it is the style of learning that's most useful in the context of the business. Now, according to Buchanan-Hujensky in 2004, a famous book on business strategy. They say that it's the process of acquiring knowledge through experience. So it's acquiring knowledge through experience that is the basis of organizational learning. The organization makes a product, it needs to manufacture the product, let's say, and it has the experiences that all of that entails. Some of the experiences will be good and positive, and some of them will have been bad experiences where situations failed or things went wrong. But all experiences are experiences upon which we can learn. We draw on these. This is our accumulated knowledge, if you like. So experience is important. And learning can be influenced by external and internal factors. Learning is a function of our own ability to learn, our ability to experience and understand the experience. But learning is also influenced by the external environment, which could be conducive to learning. It's a challenging environment where there is a lot to understand and a lot to do in order to understand what's going on. So learning is both internal and external. Understanding how individuals learn will benefit organizations as well, because if the organizations can understand how individuals learn and can enrich the job so that the individuals like working because they have new experiences and they feel that they are engaging with the work, they'll have greater productivity and the organization will benefit from this. So the experiences should be varied and ideally they should be positive. Now let's look at Kolb's learning styles. Well, these are a little abstract in themselves, but let's have a look and get a feeling for what he suggested. He proposed the experiential learning model in 1984, so it's quite dated, but it's still widely talked about in business circles. According to Kolb, the learning process is based on individuals' experience, and the experience is then transformed into knowledge. So we start with the experience and then we turn the experience into knowledge. And we keep it. That's our store of knowledge related to that business. And should similar circumstances arise in the future, a similar experience arise in the future, we can draw on the knowledge, what to do. He explained that there are 4 stages in learning which follow on from each other. Now the 4 stages are a concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. These are the 4 stages in learning according to Kolb. Now the concrete experience is the experience. It's what actually happens. It's not theoretical, it's not abstract, it's what actually happens. It's the concrete experience. Let's say in a production sense, somebody puts something into a machine and the machine breaks down. That's a concrete experience. That really happened, let's say. So it's concrete. Now the experience was that the machine broke down. Now why did it break down? Let's reflect on what happened here. Let's think about what happened. Something was put into the machine broke down, the machine stopped working. We're reflecting on it. What caused it? What caused the machine to break down? Why did it break down? It's reflective. It broke down because the item put in was the wrong shape. That's what the reflective part of our learning process is telling us. It was the wrong shape. So we conceptualize. Therefore, only objects of a certain shape can be used on that machine. Objects of a different shape will break the machine. We have conceptualized. We have drawn up an abstract principle. The principle is these shapes are allowed, those shapes are not allowed. And having done that, we have now got to the situation of active experimentation. We don't want to break the machine again. We've now thought about it and we've worked out what happened. But should a similar situation arise in the future, should the machine break down, one of the first things we can look for is the shape of the item that it was fed into the machine. Was the shape wrong? Or is the machine sensitive to two shapes as opposed to one? Now that's the concrete experimentation. So there are four parts to this. Looking at the experience, thinking about the experience, understanding the experience, the conceptualization is understanding the experience, and then adding it to our stock of knowledge and realizing that future experiences may be caused by the same situation. So we have our stock of knowledge and we can go back and add this to likely causes of a problem in the future. Now, I want to go very quickly through each of these, the concrete, reflective, abstract, conceptualization and active experimentation. We don't need to spend a lot of time because the essence of what we need is on this diagram. And it's important that you've understood this diagram because this is the diagram that we need to understand the experiential learning style. We have an experience, we think about it, we reflect upon it, then we try to understand it, the conceptualization, and then we add it to our stock of knowledge, and we could, in similar circumstances, if similar situations arise in the future, it's a bit like an experiment. Similar circumstances arise, then we feed it in and we have our concrete experience and we know what's happened. But let's go through in fairly fast format, but let's not spend too much time on it. First of all, our concrete experience, or our concrete experiences. Well, it could be an emotion. It doesn't have to be something physical. It doesn't have to be a machine breaking down. It could be some response to a change that's led to an emotional backlash. The staff are unhappy about some change in policy and they're objecting to it. A process of learning from experience. It could be that looking at a situation and learning from the experience is itself causing an issue, an experience, is itself leading to problems in the staff from understanding what is happening and why is the situation arising that it is, and so it could be a feedback on itself. It could be an ability to understand and communicate people's and their own feelings. That could be a concrete experience. So concrete experience doesn't have to be a machine breaking down, or it could be an issue in communications within an organization, or it could be a commitment on the part of certain people to bring in a new product and it now proves to be not commercial, so they have an emotional response to it. They feel like they've been wasting time and they're upset by this. They feel that all the energy they've put in has been a waste of time, perhaps. And that could be the experience. Now, the reflective observation, well, quite simply, it's observing, it's looking at the situation, and it's an ability to view the environment from different angles. The reflective part is looking at the experience, observing it, and trying to look at it from different perspectives to try and get a greater understanding of what was this experience, what was it, if it was a positive experience or a negative experience, it doesn't matter, but what was the experience, and look at it from different perspectives. Now, abstract conceptualization, well, as the word would suggest, it's thinking. Having looked at the experience, having reflected on the experience, having thought about the experience, now it's time to think about it, trying to understand it deeply. So it's going to use logic and analysis to try and solve the problem, overcome the situation. It's thinking about what was the experience, what caused it, looking at it from different angles during the reflective part. Now it's conceptualizing. Active experimentation, well, as that suggests, it suggests action. It's a process of influencing individuals and getting the job done. There's been an experience, we've thought about the experience, we've reflected on it, we've conceptualized it, we've thought about it, and we've analyzed it. Now we can go back and get people to redesign perhaps some aspect of the work or some situation, to rethink some situation. So it's action, it's doing it again, only this time doing it having reflected on the previous one and modified the new proposal, modified what's happening now, and getting individuals to commit to this new perspective which has come out of the conceptualization. And this of course enables us to measure risk, measure the chances of failure should be reduced, because the first one failed, we thought about it, we reflected, then we conceptualized, we analyzed it. Now we have a new proposal. The new proposal should be stronger than the original one, so the chances of risk should be less, but there still is a chance of risk. We still may have to go around that learning cycle yet again, or go around it many times until we get to a situation where no adverse experience is being encountered. Say we're learning to swim. Well, we make reflective observations. We think about what we did. We had a swimming lesson and we thought about what we did. We were thinking back about the whole experience of learning to swim. Then we think about what we were told about swimming and how people manage to swim. We conceptualize it. So we understand the process of swimming. Now we can go back and try it again, the concrete experience. Go back and do it again. And we have this active experimentation. We can iterate, we can do it again and again. And of course, every time we do it, we can reflect and conceptualize until we have ironed out the issues. Maybe the issues are our breathing or our fear, whatever it is, but there may be some issue that's blocking our ability to swim. But by reflecting, by thinking about it, by thinking of the theory, if you like, of how people actually swim and what we're doing, and contrasting the two, we get a proposal for a concrete experience. And this is the active part. We experiment again. So we're going around over and over and over until we get it right. Learning to use a computer. When we get a new computer, we could have active experimentation. It's not perhaps very wise to just start a computer up and start pressing the keys randomly. If we did, we may find there are faults with the software. We have done some damage perhaps, or altered some of the settings. Now we'd have to reflect on this. We have to think, what did we do wrong? Why isn't the computer working? And then we'd think about the theory. The theory is, read the instruction book. This is what's suggested. Read the instruction book, then turn on the computer, then carefully follow the instructions. Now we've conceptualized, we've thought about it. Now we've analyzed what we actually did, which of course wasn't right. And that leads us to a concrete experience. In this case, not a good experience, because we've just messed up the computer. So let's go back, and having messed up the computer, let's go back, turn off the computer, start it again, and see if we can now follow the instructions. Active experimentation, do it again. Reflect on what we see on the screen, think about, is this what we had before? Is it different? Is it what the manual says? Conceptualize. If what's on the screen is what the manual says, what the instruction book says, why is it the same? Well, because that's what the computer is supposed to do. Concrete experience. We have now started the computer. So Kolb's learning styles. Well, Kolb implies that learning styles are not inborn personality traits. We pick up these learning styles through background and experience. So for Kolb, experience is very important. And for certain sorts of learning, that is precisely right. It is applicable in the case of business, for example. Now, he introduced 4 learning styles based around the 4 stages of learning. The concrete, the reflective, the conceptualization, and the active experimentation. And these 4 are diverging, assimilating, converging, and accommodating. So there are 4 learning styles based around the 4 learning, based around his 4-stage learning cycle. So 4 learning styles related to the 4-stage learning cycle. And this is what he called them. Now, I'm not going to go through these in great detail, because we don't really need these in great detail, but let me just skip through them anyway. Diverging. Well, diverging is concrete and reflective. So leans more to an innovative and imaginative approach. So it's looking at different ways of doing things. It's looking at different types of situation that could be imagined. The individual analyzes situations from different viewpoints, looks at the situation from a varying set of viewpoints, makes observation, and may cooperate with others to get their opinions as well. So it's diverging in that sense. It's looking at the situation from different viewpoints, and it's getting a wider set of opinions. So it's diverging. But it's looking at the experience. So it's relating to the experience, but it's learning by trying to analyze from, or get different perspectives, I should say at this stage, get different perspectives of the experience, looking at it from different viewpoints and perhaps asking colleagues as to what they think as well. Assimilating is abstract and reflective. The individual is playing with ideas here, looking at the experience, trying to understand the experience, simulating all of the outcomes, trying to work out what happened, working with models and theories to try and reach a conclusion. So here's assimilating, it's looking at the experience and trying to work out what happened, what's causing this experience, looking at theories that are appropriate, or trying to devise explanations as to what caused that particular experience. Converging, well, the individual enjoys using practical techniques to solve problems, and it's decision making and problem solving, so it's converging. It's now trying to look at the situation, whatever the experience was, and trying to solve the problem using practical approaches. So all the efforts are converging to try and solve that problem, to try and solve whatever it was that was experienced, if the experience, of course, was adverse and needs solution. Accommodating, well, it requires good people skills because it tries to involve others. It looks at different practical solutions, and it observes and reflects, and it adapts well to the environment, and it tries to accommodate other people's opinions and tries to bring up a solution that's generally acceptable. So those are the four styles of learning associated with the learning cycle. Now, in conclusion, well, Kolb's learning theory is a good tool for organizations to help them understand how best to motivate their employees. The employees need good experiences and a wide range of experiences to be motivated, to not become bored. In order to subscribe to the goals of the organization, they need to relate to the organization. And a good set of experiences and varied experiences would help to do that. Individuals are different and have different preferred learning styles. So it's important to recognize this. One size doesn't fit all. Now, in academic circles, we're used to the idea of, for example, a lecture, where students go and hear somebody speak about something and make notes. But that doesn't suit everybody. Not everybody in the room is going to follow exactly what the tutor is talking about or understand every point. In which case, they are simply going to write down notes that they don't understand. So Kolb was at pains here to talk about learning from experience, and this is very important, as I said, in the context of business, where different individuals can learn by observing the experience, or by having the experience and then reflecting on it and understanding what happened in that experience. So different individuals have different learning requirements. If organizations can understand how to apply different learning styles to individuals, then this will improve the organization's productivity, because different learning styles applied to individuals will mean that the individuals are having a better experience, they will relate more to the organisation's objectives, will apply themselves better, be more committed, and there will be more productivity as a consequence. That's the book I quoted earlier on, and that's all I'm going to do on this particular topic. So thank you for watching.